Sup, yo? Day 8 of our MCO. We are all on mandatory confinement orders. And on the day 8th, I've decided to do something really cool, which I hope to be purposeful, at least for my time, and hopefully for your time as well. And so I've decided to share a series of videos like this about personal development, which is the field that is my expertise. So I studied psychology, if you didn't know, and so I wanted to share with you the stuff that I usually share with my corporate clients, with the universities that invite me to do my talks, to do my trainings, and hope we all can benefit from this sharing, right? Don't forget to also leave a comment, right, wherever that you're digesting this, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, maybe whether on YouTube. But yeah, please don't forget to leave comments, any feedback or anything that you'd like to ask, right? So I'm going to start today's session for this first pilot series, right, with something that I usually start at my sessions, which is a breathing exercise, right? So for me at least, and this is something that that is actually scientifically known, that breathing is really extremely important, and that's something that we always take for granted. I think we just usually just breathe, right? But so let's just start before we go on with maybe like 5 breaths in and out, just slowly, right? Just focus on your breath. Just don't worry if you're thinking thoughts, right? If you're thinking thoughts, think about it and then just let it go. Just try to focus your best that you can on just the breathing, right? The air flowing in your nostrils, the chest pumping out, or then after the air coming in, air coming out, just focusing on that, right? So let's do that together. We do 5 breaths in and 5 breaths out, right? Okay, let's do this. 1, 2, breathe in, breathe out slowly. 3, breathe in, take a lot of air into your lungs, into your stomach. Breathe out slowly. 4, last one. Slowly breathe out and gently open your eyes. Alright, I always love doing that. Seriously, it really is so nice, calms me down every time. So I'm gonna start the session by sharing a little bit about myself, about my story, and then after that move on to some topics, right? But I guess I'm gonna cut this into just smaller topics, unlike my talks, which are usually 2.5 hours long to half a day long trainings. So I'll try to digest this in smaller bits. Today it's gonna be a little bit longer because it is the pilot series, Chewa Chewa. But so yeah, so let's give this a go. I'll start by introducing my story, right? This is the first time I'm ever doing this online, by the way, so this is going to be super cool, right? Alright, so that is me. I was born in 1981, which makes me 39 this year, so I'm going to be a good old 40 next year. Woohoo! Love it. So that's my mom. I was born with her arms, as you can see. Really cool old school picture. Then, so the cool part about me, I guess, even though I was born with her arms, my parents never bubble wrapped me, and they just, got me out there and doing normal things. And I went to a normal school. I did normal things like, the chores at home. I did sports, right? But I always had challenges, of course. Like everyone, really, I think everyone really has their own set of challenges, right? Whether it's a physical disability, whether it's a mental disability, whether it's where you come from in terms of whether you're I'm from a poor family or rural family, or an Orang Asli family in the rural areas. So we all have our challenges. I believe for me, my challenge was of course not having arms. And so yeah, I was so this is a picture of me in school, which is really cool. I was in Sekolah Rendah Kebangsaan Jalan Geni 2. Really great school. And but it wasn't as straightforward as you guys coming into the school. For me, I had my first huge challenge when I was coming into Standard 1, because my headmaster, the principal at that time, did not want to they didn't feel like they had the facilities to cater for someone like me who didn't have arms, and so they thought I needed to go to a special school. However, from that age on, I really didn't know what he was talking about, because I felt like I could cope like everyone else anyway, right? Which I'm sure you know I can. But so I didn't take it lying down. I told my mom that I wanted to see the principal at that time, and my mom arranged it the next day. And so I gave him not really a telling off, but I asked him why can't I come to the school. And then I showed him, see, I can read, I can write already, and we can try and sort out other things as well. And but yeah, so I just thought, why don't you allow me to go to school? And eventually I think he saw that I was capable enough to handle myself, and he did allow me to go to the school right after that meeting. And and I went through a really great, I had great memories in primary school, even though there were challenges like everyone. We all get teased, sometimes get bullied, right? Sometimes we get name calling, right? Sometimes we get left out, right? Sometimes we these are just normal things. And sometimes our kids can be really naughty and vicious. I remember that as well, all kids. So yeah, I was really just like everyone else. And I went to university after that, which is really cool. So that it took me a while, actually, frankly speaking. I finished high school, and after that I took law. But then I found out midway that I didn't want to be a lawyer, and that was something more deeper passion within me, which I needed to find. And I searched and searched and searched, and eventually it led me to social sciences, sociology, psychology, and I graduated from developmental psychology in Griffith University in Australia. Big up Griffith Uni in Gold Coast. Man, I miss it big time. So as you can see here, I never allowed the fact that I didn't have arms to stop me from living a great life, right? I always believe that, it doesn't matter what we don't have, but what we do have, we harness, we focus, and we do use and do the best that we can. And so even though people see me as not having arms and, oh, so kasian, I cannot eat, how do you eat? Usually they ask me these kind of questions like, how do you drink? How do you eat? I mean, like, geez Louise, guys, I've been doing a lot more than just eating and drinking, right? But yeah, so alhamdulillah, I've managed to do a lot of cool stuff despite not having arms. I can still scuba dive. I've been doing scuba diving since I was 13 years old. I can still horse ride. I've been doing horse riding since I was 8. I even managed a horse riding club for like a few years, right? And besides that, this is a really cool picture that I kind of shared sometimes. But there's a deep story behind this picture, actually. So if you can see, it's me in a guard house, right? It looks like a random guard house. I'm trying to keep a smile there, but frankly speaking, this was one of the biggest challenges I had as an adult, right? So of course, growing up, I had developmental challenges, but as an adult, I had adult challenges and things that I had to go through just like everybody else, right? So this was a picture that was taken after my divorce, actually. Yep, it's been 2 years that I got divorced. Very hard situation at that time. Anyone who's gone through that situation can tell you that it ain't easy. And not often that it makes sense either. Sometimes it makes no sense. But so I was keeping a brave smile in that picture, but in actuality I was in such a deep shit kind of like situation. I was really, I was broke at that time. I just got divorced. I just quit my job. I really felt like I lost everything at that period of time, including myself. And at this time, I was actually waiting at the bus stop just opposite this flat near my dad's house, which I was just kind of squatting at that time. My dad was really awesome in giving me a place to stay when I moved out. And but yeah, I was waiting for the bus, and it started raining heavily, heavy rain, and I needed to seek shelter. And I was actually taking the bus going to see my daughter, right? And of course, it's one of the hardest things in this whole scenario is when you have a child, which I love very much, so of course. But at that time, I was so broke, I couldn't even take a Grab. Can you imagine that? I was so broke, seriously, so broke, that I just had to take a bus going around, right? And it was really difficult. But I took this picture because I felt like it was an important day at that time. And I always reminded myself with this picture that, even though I was in such a shitty situation at that time, things will get better, right? And it did. It absolutely did. So yeah, so moving on from that situation, I decided to kind of get out from that feeling of despair. I was in a very dark place at that time, but I climbed. I did what was necessary, which is something that I'd like to share with you throughout this series, actually. But yeah, I did what I needed to do, and I needed to find myself. I needed to reconnect with my inner self. I needed to get my clarity back, and really just find back my purpose. And Alhamdulillah, I did. Big time, I did. And what happened was I got to write a book, right? It's called SOS, right? So I did a whole process of writing and getting it published, right? And it released, and I got a really great book deal, and now it's selling in all major bookstores, in books, in shops, online. And then after that, I got approached by UNICEF Malaysia. Yeah, I got it. So in between all that, I got approached by, literally, I guess, considered my dream job, because I've always been into community development. I've always been into humanitarian relief, right? In fact, when I was in college, I got to be involved for almost 9 months in Aceh, Indonesia, doing humanitarian relief there. So I always wanted to work for the UN, but it just didn't happen for many years. But I still continued. I still built my own expertise. I built my craft. I built my career, right? And had all the challenges in between, all the failures in between, all the heartaches in between. But after that, right, Alhamdulillah, right now it's pretty dope, I must say. I love my work. I love what I do. I do what I love as well. And yeah, so that's pretty much, I think that's about me. Yeah, so why are we here, right? So this is a big question, and this is a really great question to start off this session, I guess, or this episode, let's call it, right? Because maybe you might have been interested because you know me already, or you know what I do, or maybe you might have gotten interested in seeing the caption, right? Maybe you're looking to seek answers of yourself, right? Your personal development. And so it's really important to always start with why, because I always believe that we all have a reason, and we all have a purpose of why we are here, right? There's a reason why I don't have arms. I'm certain of that. There's a reason why you were born where you were born. There was a reason why you were born with the parents that you had. There was a reason why we all go through what we go through. You call it destiny, you call it takdir, call it whatever it is that you want, man. But I truly believe, and this is not just me as well, read up on this, and this knowledge is out there. Ask why, read about why, because your why exists, and we all have our own individual why, and there's also a universal why as well. So always seek your why, right? So why I'm doing this right now, I guess, is I'm looking to kind of find more purposeful ways to use my time, because time is all about growing, right? We're growing, and growing is a continuous process. You don't stop growing until you die, really, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's spiritually. I really believe, you don't grow till you die. And why it's really important for us to connect back to the why is that each phase has a purpose, right? When we're born, we have a purpose. As a child, we have a purpose. As a teenager, as an adolescent, we have a purpose. As an adult, we have a purpose. And as an elder, we also have a purpose. So it's important for us to continuously seek our purpose, continuously grow, continuously learn. Because if we don't continuously learn about ourselves, then we're going to be continuously going through this world blind, right? And the worst thing for us to do is go through this world blinded, right? Or even worse, delusioned, right? And a lot of us go through this. Because one of the things that I've realized in my studies and in things that I learned in personal development is that so many of us traverse through life upset, depressed, right, in such states of despair, right, constantly. So many of us. This is not uncommon in today's era where there's so many of us. I know so many. I've even been there, right? Been depressed, been sad, been feeling lack of purpose, nothing going on right. We do go through all sorts of these things, right? But it's a continuous process, and we continuously grow. And it's important as we continuously grow that we learn how to optimize and utilize the most important tool that we will ever have, and that tool is our body, our self, right? Our this whole thing, our hardware, our software of the self. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't know the functions of yourself, then you're not going to be able to optimize the usage of yourself. Imagine if you only knew how to use your text and your text on your phone and the call. That's not really using the optimal of your entire phone, is it? Right? I mean, look at me. I can edit using my phone, edit pictures, edit videos, do video conferencing, send documents, right? Just a whole record music, just a whole load of cool stuff. And imagine the same thing with our bodies and ourselves. If we don't know the functions of ourselves, then we're just gonna really waste that really amazing hardware and software that God has provided us, right? Has prepared for us. Or if you don't believe in God, the universe, right? Existence, right? And so, yeah, that's why it's extremely important for us to continuously grow, continuously learn, right? And hopefully, as we start learning more about ourselves, we start traversing through this life with more clarity, right? In most cases, people go through life fumbling, tumbling, right? Because they're clueless, right? They're clueless about what they want. They're clueless about what they need. They're clueless about who they are. They're clueless about what they want to do. And so, and then after that, they take the superficial answers, right? Superficial answers are like, money, wealth, fame, right? They think, that's what I want, right? But no, none of that makes you happy at all. Trust me, none of that are long-term happiness. It's a byproduct, maybe, sure, but if you don't know your purpose and if that's what you're chasing for, man, it's not great, bro. So yeah, purpose, right? Always kind of like figure out what your purpose, find your truth, find your voice, right? So we grow, we continuously grow until we die, right? So as we grow, as I said, so many of us traverse through life with huge headaches, right? This is one of my favorite diagrams because it really does show the thought process that goes through most of us on a daily basis, right? We have doubts, we have fears, we have considerations, we have expectations, right? We have aspirations, we have influence. So we've got all these things that go in our mind, and they're always in constant state of conflict, right? Sometimes I want this, but yet I want that. I want this, but I don't really want that, right? So the mind is never really just trust your mind. No, don't just trust your mind. Really trust your inner self, the driver, right? So the whole point after this is that the next coming episodes, I suppose, we'll try and explore deeper. How do we uncover these confusing states, right? How do we find our most true inner self? How do we find the best ways to optimally use our body, our mind, and our soul, right? So I hope to see you in the next coming series. It's probably not gonna be this long. This is a pilot, as I repeat, right? I'm gonna have a lot of good fun for the next 2 weeks. I hope you too. I hope that you take good care of yourselves in this confined period. Take care of your family if you can. Take good care of your community as well, which is integral and important, right? And have a good one. Cheers.